Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidil ashrafil anbiya wal mursaleen. Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Amma ba'd. Fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. We concluded last week's lesson by looking at how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam arrived in the blessed city of Medina Munawwara, and I also mentioned how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed or ordered Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to reside in the house of Abu Ayyub al-Ansari radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So these were the two topics which I touched on or mentioned in last week's lesson. Now I also mentioned that when Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came to Medina Munawwara, the Ansar, the people of Medina Munawwara, they were happy to see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Their heart was full of joy. They were anticipating for months and months. And when they saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in their very own city, they couldn't contain themselves. And they were so happy just to even get a glimpse of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was more than enough for them. Because as mentioned in the hadith, that whoever sees Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whoever is a sahabi or a companion, then the fire would not touch that person. So seeing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was so much of a barakah and so much of a blessing. So they were so happy, full of joy in meeting and in seeing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But not only the Ansar and the Muslims of Medina were happy to see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but the Jews of Medina Munawwara, they were also eagerly waiting to see Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as well. And as I mentioned before, that there were three Jewish tribes in Medina Munawwara: Banu Nazir, Banu Qurayza, Banu Kaynuqa. And they had settled in Medina Munawwara many years ago, waiting, anticipating for the coming of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because it is mentioned in the Torah that one of the signs of the final prophet will be that he will migrate to Medina Munawwara. So they had left wherever they were living, and they came to the city of Yathrib, the blessed city of Medina Munawwara, waiting and anticipating for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm going to mention two stories here. Firstly, the story of Abdullah bin Salam radhiyallahu anhu, who was a Jewish scholar, a Jewish rabbi, and how he converted to Islam. And also another story thereafter regarding Hazrat Salman radhiyallahu ta'ala anhu and how he converted to Islam. And the whole purpose of mentioning their story is we can see the sacrifices they went through to get in the fold of Islam. And whereas we were born in a Muslim family, when we reached the age of puberty and bulugh, we were already Muslims. And sometimes it's like a lesson for us that we see so many brothers who were atheists before, who were Christians before, who were Sikhs or Hindus before. They converted to Islam, but they have now reached a high level of taqwa, piety. Their akhlaq, their manners is far better than you and I, even though we were born in a Muslim household, even though we were raised as a Muslim, even though when we reached the age of puberty, we were Muslim. And these brothers, they just recently converted to Islam many years after us. But when you look at their akhlaq, when you look at their manners, when you even look at their piety and taqwa, far better than you and I. So all these stories here, is all there to motivate us to remain steadfast on our deen, on our worship, on our ibadat. Now the first story I'm going to mention is regarding Abdullah bin Salam radhiyallahu anhu. Now he was a Jewish scholar, a Jewish rabbi, and he was from the descendant of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam. And initially his name was Hussein, and when he converted to Islam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam changed it to Abdullah bin Salam. And I mentioned in last week's lesson that the first words he heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, the first time he attended Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's majlis and gathering, the first words he heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say is this hadith which can be found in Sunan al-Tirmidhi, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the following words: Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, at'imu ta'am, feed the poor, feed the miskin, feed the needy, afshu salam, spread salam, wasilul arham, maintain ties, meaning that don't break up relationships and kinships, wasallu bil layl wan nasu niyam, and pray namaz, salah at night when people are sleeping, i.e. tahajjud, tadkhulul jannata bisalam, and you will enter Jannah and paradise with salamati, with peace and with tranquility. And when Abdullah bin Salam radhiyallahu anhu, when he heard these words from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he instantly acknowledged that this has to be the words of a prophet. Because if he was like a leader of a sect or of a group, he'd probably say, oh brothers, give me some money, I need this, I need that. He will talk about himself. That's what self-appointed people do, or self-appointed scholars or self-appointed prophets do. They concentrate more about themselves rather than concentrate about the brotherhood, about the Muslims in general. But when he heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say these words, at'imu ta'am, feed the people, so this is talking about brotherhood. Afshu salam, giving salam, talks about brotherhood. Wasilul arham, maintaining ties, talks about brotherhood. And then lastly, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, concentrate on yourselves by praying tahajjud. So when he heard these words from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he acknowledged straight away that this person, he's not some self-appointed Nabi, self-appointed Rasul, but he is actually a Rasul and a messenger from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Thereafterwards, Abdullah bin Salam, he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said the Shahada and he converted to Islam. Now after Abdullah bin Salam converted to Islam, he said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that my people, i.e. the Jewish tribe Banu Kainuka, they are a slanderous bunch of people. Meaning that he was always trying to say to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that if my people find out that I have converted to Islam, they are going to start making all these false accusations that Abdullah bin Salam, he's like this, he's like that. And you, are Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sahabas, you will get this bad picture of me. When in reality, I'm not like that, but they are making these kind of accusations. So he then said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that, can you do this favor for me? I'll hide myself in this room or in this kamra and hujra here, call my people and ask them about me. So you will then get a true, picture of who I am. So Abdullah bin Salam, he hid that in that room. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam called these people, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked them that, what do you think of Abdullah bin Salam? So they all replied, oh, he's a very good person, a pious scholar, a great scholar, a gem in our community, starting using these kind of praises and these kind of words. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then said to his people that, just say if I was to tell you that Abdullah bin Salam had just converted to Islam, would you believe me? So they replied, no, we'll never believe you. Abdullah bin Salam, he's one of us. He'll never ever betray us. He'll never ever go against us. He'll never ever convert to your religion. He'll be one of us. So at that time, Abdullah bin Salam, radhiyallahu anhu, he comes out of the room and he then says, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammad Rasulullah. Now, as soon as the Banu Kainuka, the Jews, as soon as they hear these words, they start accusing or slandering Hazrat Abdullah bin Salam radhiyallahu anhu. So saying, oh no, Abdullah bin Salam is bekar admi, he's like this, he's like that, he's useless, waste of time, he's not a good scholar, we never knew him, he was just like one of those, and so on and so forth. So Abdullah bin Salam, he smiled at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, trying to prove that if I had left the majlis now, and I went home and I told them, then they would have made these accusations and you would have got a different picture of me. So therefore, then and there, I need you to do my tazkiyah in terms of like apparent tazkiyah, that you don't get any bad feeling or a bad picture of me. That's why I had to do this. And from this, we can understand that, sometimes it's very, very important that you need to, the same way we talk about importance of tazkiyah of the heart. Sometimes it's also very important as well that you need to defend yourself and you need to do tazkiyah of your outside as well. In terms of if people are slandering you, you shouldn't just like sometimes be quiet. It's good in a way in terms of if your iman is of that level where you think, okay, let them slander about me and I'll get my reward and thawab in the hereafter. But if you think that it's going to cause a negative effect, then it's always good to do your tazkiyah in terms of, explaining to people that, no, I'm not like this, or like what we are doing, we are not doing wrong, or something, so that people don't get that wrong picture or people don't take the wrong meaning. So that was the first story about Abdullah bin Salam radiallahu anhu. The second story I'm going to mention is regarding a very famous Sahabi or companion in the name of Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu. Now people know him as Hazrat Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu. But even Hazrat Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu didn't like this name of Farsi. This laqab of adding the word Farsi after his name. He didn't like it. And once somebody called him with this name, Salman Farsi, and he got angry and he said that I am not Salman Farsi, I am Salman ibnul Islam, the son of Islam. And the reason why he didn't like people calling him Farsi is because there's a hint of tribalism there, that he's from Persia. Whereas as you know that it doesn't matter where Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu is from, whether he's from Persia, whether he's from Africa, whether he's from America, whether he's from France, whether he's from Germany, the main thing is he's a Muslim. And irrespective of what tribe you're from, irrespective of what culture you're from, what unites all the Muslims together is Islam. We don't look at your color, we don't look at your creed, we don't look at your background, we don't look at which part of the world or country you're from. You are Muslim, you say the kalima, you believe in Allah, you believe in His beloved Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are all united, we are all now together. So Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu actually didn't like people calling him this word, Hazrat Salman Farsi, even though, how should I say, to pehchanne ke liye, to say Hazrat Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu, it's okay, but it's always best to call him Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu or Salman ibnul Islam. Now his story I think I may have mentioned before, but just I'll mention again because it tells us the difficulty Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu went through to find the truth and to find the haqq. Now it's mentioned in the books of Seerah that Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu, one opinion says that he was alive during Hazrat Isa alayhi salam's time. And another opinion goes on to say that he wasn't alive during Hazrat Isa alayhi salam's time, but he was alive during Hazrat Isa alayhi salam's disciples' time. And all the ulamas agreed that the very least, kam se kam, Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu was at least 250 years old during Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time. Kam se kam. Some of the people say he was around 300 years old, 400 years old. But all the ulamas agree that kam se kam minimum age when he was during Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's time, he was 250. If he was during Hazrat Isa alayhi salam's time, he's going to be quite old. Now you may be thinking that he must have, like if he was 250 years old, he must have been bedridden, or he must have, been with his walking stick and so on. This doesn't happen to the Sahabas or the Awliyaullah. It's mentioned in the Quran that what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will do is that the same way we were born like babies, we do like pakhana, feces, urine in our nappies. Sometimes what happens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we go old, He will make us like babies in terms of we can't control our bladder, we do urine in our nappies or in our underwear. Sometimes when we go old, our speech becomes so blurred that it becomes worse than a baby. But then Allah says, Asfala safilin illa alladhina amanu wa amilu salihat. However, those who believe in Allah and do good deeds, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will inshallah not take you to that. Will not take you that state where you're bedridden, you urinate in your wet underwear, where you start talking nonsense. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not take you there. And that's why, because of the remembrance of Allah, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not make you that old. So same with Hazrat Salman Farsi, even though he was 250 years old, but he was such that he had so much like piety and taqwa that he didn't seem to be 250 years old. Now, Hazrat Salman Farsi radiallahu anhu, he was born as a fire worshipper, and his father was really protecting over him, like he would never ever let his son, i.e. Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu, go out of the house. And the reason why he worried, or he was overprotected of his son, is because he feared that if he was to go out and if he was to see the other religion, because the other religion, the Deen Haqq at that time, was Christianity, he feared that he will turn into a Christian and he will leave his forefathers' religion. Now later on, Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu, he became more responsible, and he became the guard of the fire worshipping temple in Persia at that time. And his responsibility was to make sure that the fire never extinguishes from the temple. So this was his zimmedari, this was his responsibility. Now once his father was ordered or was told to inspect somebody's land, but he became a bit busy. So he told his son Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu that you go and inspect this land. And he gave him strict instructions that as soon as you inspect this land, come back home straight away. Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu, he went to inspect this land. On the way back, he went past a church, and he heard some noises coming out of this church. Now when he went inside this church, he saw people, they were worshipping, they were singing these kind of hymns, and when he looked at the way they were worshipping, he liked it. Obviously at that time that was the Deen Haqq, that was a true religion, so he liked what they were doing. So he asked them that where does this religion originate from? So the people in the church told him that this religion started from Palestine. Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, it started from Palestine, during Hazrat Isa alayhi salam's time. Thereafter, Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu, he went home and he explained to his father what he saw, and him visiting the church, speaking with the people in the church and telling him about the religion of Christianity. Now his father then got angry upon him, and he said that no, our religion, our forefathers' religion is far better than Christianity. And he then shackled and tied Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu at home, and he just left him there, and he did not let him go out at all. He goes that this is it, no, I'm imprisoning you basically. So he shackled his legs, he shackled his arms, everything. He wasn't allowed to move. Now Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu, he had a servant, and he managed to pass a message to his servant to go to the church and tell the people of the church that the next time a caravan is making their way to Palestine, to let him know, so that he could jump in this caravan and also go to this Palestine and meet the people who practice this religion. A few days later, the message came from the church that yes, we are now going to board a caravan and we are making our way to Palestine. So his servant managed to free Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu. He then went on the caravan, and then the caravan took him to Palestine. Now when he was in Palestine, he met a priest who was supposed to be the best priest, the most pious priest in Palestine. So he then stayed in his company. And from this we can also understand the need of a sheikh, or the khidmat of a sheikh, or the suhbat of a sheikh. Even in Christianity as well, very important. Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu realized that I'm new to this religion, I'm new to practicing Christianity, so I need to stay in the company of a sheikh. So the sheikh, i.e. a priest. So he was in this company of this priest. Now when he stayed in the company of this priest, he realized that this priest was not actually a good person. The priest, he would ask people for money and for donations, saying that I'll give it to the poor and the needy, but instead he will keep it for himself. So when this priest passed away, and the people of the community, they got together to bury this priest, Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu said that, look, before we bury him, I need to tell or say something about this priest. And the secret is that he would take money from you, but instead of giving it to the poor, instead of giving it to the needy, he would keep it for himself. So when the people, when they heard this, they got really shocked and they were saddened, and they got angry on this priest. So what happened was that instead of burying this priest, they then crucified him on the cross. And whenever they would walk past, they would like throw stones at him, even though he's dead, but they would like, throw stones at him, pelt him with whatever they had, and it was after many days they then buried him. Thereafter, Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu went to another priest, and he stayed in his khidmat, his company. He was a very pious priest. When this priest was about to pass away, Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu asked him that, look, can you give me advice of another priest who I should go to? So then this person said, go to such and such a place and you meet another priest. And this happened. A few priests he went, he stayed in their khidmat, he stayed in their company, he looked after them, he learned about Christianity, about the religion under these priests and under these people. Now after going here and there to various priests, the final priest whose company he was under said to him that, look, the time has come that there's actually no pious priest around. Everybody's like all bent and dodgy and so on. There's no one pious around. So he said that, look, from the scriptures which we have, it is very near that the final prophet and the final messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to come. And he's going to come to the city of Yathrib, i.e. the blessed city of Medina Munawwara. And this final priest told him that, look, the signs of this prophet is, number one, he doesn't accept sadaqah or charity. Number two, he accepts gifts and hadiyah. And number three, between his shoulder blades is the seal of prophethood, i.e. the Mahr Nubuwwat. So now Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu, he stayed with this priest, he passed away. He was by himself. He had a few goats and cows. One day he was herding them when a caravan drove past him. And he asked them that, where are you going? So the caravan said that we are going to the city of Yathrib. We are going to Medina Munawwara. So Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu, remembering what the priest told him about the final prophet coming to the city of Medina Munawwara, he said to the caravan that, look, I've got these goats and cows. I'll sell you these goats and cows to you. Please give me a ride on your caravan so I could go to Medina Munawwara, I could go to Yathrib and see this final prophet. So what happened was the caravan, they accepted the cows, the goats. They took him on board. But unfortunately what happened was that they were also a very treacherous bunch. And what happened was that as soon as he went to Medina Munawwara, they got hold of Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu and they sold him as a slave. So he became a gulam. So he was like, gulam of this Jewish master. Then he sold him to another Jewish master. And this is what happened. Now he was one day in Medina Munawwara working for a Jewish master when people were talking about, oh, this person has come today from Makkah claiming to be a prophet. So Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu remembered the story, what his final priest told him about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, about coming to Medina Munawwara, his place of hijrah will be there. So Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu, he then worked for a few days, he got some food, and then he went to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam majlis and gathering, and he said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that I've heard that you've come from Makkah, you must be really, really tired. I got some food here. This is sadaqah and this is charity for you. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he didn't accept it. He said to the Sahabas, you can eat it. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that I'm not going to accept it. Why? Because it's zakat, it's sadaqah. I don't accept sadaqah and charity. Then the next day Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu came with some more food and he said to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this is hadiyah, this is gift. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam accepted it. Then on the third day, Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu then came and he then went behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was trying to gesture to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to lift his blessed qamis so that he could see the Mahr Nubuwwat between his shoulder blades. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam then lifted his qamis, and then between his shoulder blades was the Mahr Nubuwwat and the seal of prophethood. The hadith goes on to say that Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu then kissed the blessed Mahr Nubuwwat, and he then accepted Islam and he converted to Islam. Now look at the story of Hazrat Salman radiallahu anhu. For 250 years he was going to various priests, traveled all these places and so on. Why? For the truth, for the haqq. So this is what sometimes happens. Dunya we're living in is a test. Sometimes we go through difficulties and so on. Sometimes we go to one sheikh, to another sheikh and so on. But the whole purpose is that we need to search and seek for the truth. Sometimes it may be difficult, but inshallah, as long as we are determined, and as long as we have the istiqamat and the determination to find the truth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will inshallah one day guide us to the truth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tawfiq to us.